Hi, and welcome to another narration, presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Please be so kind as to throw punch the like button, and smack the arse of the subscription button as well. And remember to choke that notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. Quick note, according to my analytics, only 21% of my subscribers have turned on the all notifications for the channel. With that in mind, only 12% of my subscribers have turned on the all notifications and have enabled YouTube notifications for the channel. So if you haven't been receiving notifications, this may be why. So be sure to double check your notification bell settings for this channel. I would like to reach out and say a huge thank you to those of you who have supported Cryptids Roosts financially with your sponsorship. We pray the good Lord replenishes you abundantly, and to those of you who will later on. We pray the good Lord bless you as you do so. And also a huge thank you to everyone for always supporting the channel with your likes, comments and shares as well. It is all very much appreciated. God bless you all. I have now implemented the auto-generated subtitles option in as many videos as possible. This will help all of our hard of hearing listeners. I hope this helps. Enjoy. During every video you will see an info card pop up during the duration of the video. Each of these info cards, which is in the top right corner, will direct you to the playlist for the author of this story, and will show you other stories from this author that you may also enjoy. Also, be sure to check out the end screen at the end of the video. This will also direct you to two videos. One will be the most recent video upload, and the other will be a random video from within my catalogue of stories that I've already narrated. Be sure to check those out. And why not hashtag CryptidsRoost in your comments? So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. File 0.2 Kill Dave Part 3. This awesome series is written by Getyaisha, a wonderful author over on Reddit. And if you'd like to read more of their works, the Reddit link to their profile will be below in the description. This all started when some arsehole named Dave discovered a real-life zombie virus. Yeah, you heard that right. Believe me, I was just as shocked as you are. I was the first to call bullshit, but it wasn't a joke. Hell, it wasn't even fan fiction. This was the real deal, and this genius put it all out there for the world to see. He even wrote the whole thing out and submitted it to some horror narrator's Reddit page. By the time the story gained any traction, it was too late. The virus had gone global. The madness was everywhere. Mass shootings are at an all-time high. Road rage killings, mothers murdering their children. People everywhere have gone insane. It's become an almost daily thing to hear about some lunatic killing his girlfriend and eating her, but the insanity is so normal to you all, no one cares. Further proof that the majority of you hearing this are infected and don't even know it. This is an extinction event, people, and I for one plan to do something about it. My name is Al. I live in a small town called Springville, and the entire place is infected. If I get out of here, I'm going to find Dave and kill him. 3 weeks ago, I was at home drinking a beer, sitting on my front lawn. It was a Saturday morning and everything was right with the world. The sun was warm, the beer was cold, and my sexy ass neighbour was going out on her morning run. God, I love those tights. I watched her bounce off into the distance, then I took a big gulp, finishing off the can and tossing it before reaching into my cooler for another. As I cracked the cap on another tall boy, I heard the squeal of tyres on concrete followed by the clash of metal slamming into metal, then screaming. I ran down to the end of the driveway and looked down the street to see my neighbour pinned between two cars, screaming while whoever was driving the car continued hitting the gas. I dropped my beer and ran over to help. As I got closer, the driver put the car in reverse, ripping the neighbour apart before putting it into drive and gunning it in my direction. I dove off the street and that lunatic slammed into two more parked cars before crashing into a light pole. I got up off the ground with every intention of beating the shit out of this guy, but when the car door opened and he came out with an AR-15 shooting everything in sight, I ran. Unfortunately, all the commotion from the wreck brought people out of their homes. They were in the street on their phones calling the police when the lunatic opened fire on the crowd. I'm not sure how many survived that. I was too busy trying not to get shot. Once I'd made it back to my house, I watched from the window, making sure he didn't come my way. The last I saw of him, he was walking towards the main road, blasting anyone he laid eyes on. As crazy as it sounds, it wasn't long before a crowd started to gather. People from the neighbourhood were trying to help the wounded, while I sat there in my house, watching. After a few minutes, I noticed an old woman. She wasn't facing the crowd. Instead, she was watching a lady with a little boy. They were keeping their distance from the commotion while she frantically spoke to someone on the phone. The old lady just stood there staring like a lion watching its prey. When the woman turned to point at something, she started towards them. There was something in her hand. I couldn't see what it was, but as she strolled by them, she reached out and passed it across the boy's face. The kid screamed as blood poured from a deep cut across his cheek. That's when I realised the old lady must have been carrying a blade. The boy's mother flew into a rage, charging at the old bat. She should have just taken the kid and gotten the hell out of there. I didn't want to see what happened next, but I couldn't pull myself away. Leaving the kid standing there, the mother lashed out, grabbing the old bat by the hair and managed to punch her once or twice before the old lady started stabbing her. I couldn't tell you how many times the blade went in before some guy stopped her. Once he had it on the ground, it should have been over, but it wasn't. He started raining down blows and didn't stop until he was pulled off by two others. While they struggled to get him under control, the old lady started having some sort of seizure. Her whole body shook violently. Then she screamed and stopped moving. Paramedics and police that were just arriving to the scene rushed over, but it was too late. She was dead. The woman she'd sliced up was bleeding out, laying on the ground with her son crying over her, screaming for her to get up. Everything happened so fast. I'm not really sure how the guy got loose, but he did. He attacked the boy. He rushed in and knocked him to the ground, then grabbed him by the ankles and beat that child against the concrete like a rug until his skull popped, splattering his brains against the curb. One of the officers pulled his gun. "Move!" he barked out, trying to get a clear shot through the surging crowd, but there was just too many people. One of the other cops tried tasing him, but it didn't work. The crazed man ripped the wired barbs out of his chest while staggering back before running into the crowd and attacking someone else. And just like that, the whole street went apeshit. I locked the doors, grabbed my gun, then went back to the window. I watched normal people turn into a bloodthirsty mob. The things I saw left a stain on my brain I'll have for the rest of my life. And just when I thought things couldn't get any more bizarre, dead people started getting up and running into the crowd. I stumbled back away from the window, tripping over a pair of my shoes and falling. When I hit the floor, I accidentally fired my pistol. The shot shattered the window and I froze. I sat there staring at it, expecting the mob to come spilling in at any moment. But they didn't. I couldn't move. Maybe it was shock, or maybe I was just caught up in the moment. But the next thing I knew, I heard footsteps followed by someone knocking on my door. I can't explain what I did next, but I got up and looked through the peephole. There, standing on my front porch, covered in blood, was some lady I'd never seen before. She knocked again, then begged, "Please, you have to let me in. I know you're in there. I heard the shot. Please, they're coming. You have to help me." I backed away as quietly as I could, but it didn't matter. She came through my shattered window, and I shot her. The bullet hit her in the chest and knocked her down. She started screaming, flailing around on the floor, smearing blood over everything. It wasn't like the movies where you shoot the bad guy and he falls down dead on the spot. She made a fucking scene. The next thing I know, the mob is crashing against my front door. I don't know how many there were. I didn't stick around to take account. I tucked the gun into my belt and ran. A wave of my now insane neighbours slammed into the front of my house, and I made a dash for the back door. Heart pumping, mind racing, I sprinted across the yard and was going over the fence when my foot caught on one of the wooden planks. It was a bad landing. I'd hit the ground hard, and I was trying to get up when the sound of someone racking around into the chamber of a shotgun froze me in place. "Don't move!" I looked up to see Nancy, my next door neighbour, with her 12 gauge pointed at my head. Before I could utter a word, the horde slammed into the fence behind me. She opened fire at the gate as I got to my feet and darted past her. I looked back in time to see her get overtaken by the crowd as she fired off another shot, then vanished in the sea of snarling faces. Most of them were too busy tearing into Nancy to notice me, but 3 of them were catching up quick and I was running out of steam. I could hear them closing in, and I can't pretend I wasn't scared shitless. At one point I could have sworn one of them tugged at my shirt and I screamed. The really funny part is I ran for another few blocks before I realised there was no one chasing me. They'd stopped at some point and I'd never noticed. Gasping for air with my hands on my knees, I tried to get my bearings. I was on East 400 Street and I could see the mountains reaching up into the sky behind the neighbourhood. If I kept going down this street, I could get to the fire station. The trip wouldn't take long, but I couldn't keep running. Setting a good pace, I started walking while trying to keep an eye out for anyone coming my way. Sirens and gunshots in the background made moving down the street feel sketchy as hell, but I didn't see anyone. Picking up the pace, I could see Station 42 coming into view. I don't know why I picked that place. I guess in my mind it would be safe. It wasn't. I was a block away when someone slammed into me. We went crashing into a small group of trash cans. As soon as we landed, he was punching me and rambling about something. I'm not sure what he was saying, but it didn't matter. I had to get him off me. I wanted to grab the gun in my waistband, but I couldn't let go of his wrists while he was doing his best to strangle me. He wasn't really a big guy, but he was strong for his size. I did everything I could to get him off, but he was able to overpower me and wrap his hands around my throat. This was it. I was going to get choked to death by some homeless fucker on the sidewalk. My vision clouded over and everything was starting to go black when I heard gunshots and the guy collapsed on top of me. Glancing to my left, I saw a police officer rushing over. I'd never been so happy to see the cops. The officer pushed the dead guy off me and helped me up. But as soon as he saw the gun in my waistband, he stepped back, aiming at me. "Keep your hands where I can see them." I did everything I could to convince him I was only protecting myself, but he wouldn't listen. It was like he couldn't understand the words coming out of my mouth. The longer he interrogated me, the stranger his questions turned, till he eventually put his gun under his chin and blew his own brains out. In the list of things I'd gone through, for some reason that stuck with me more than anything else. Being sure to keep my attention on the street around me, I took his gun and the ammo from his belt, then ran the rest of the way to the fire station. Keeping the gun in my hand, I stepped inside and instantly regretted it. The moment the door shut, one of the dead ones attacked me. Its body was so mutilated it could barely walk. The right arm had been torn off at the shoulder, leaving meaty exposed bone. Its face was a shredded mass of clawed up flesh, leaving one eye missing and the other completely exposed. As bad as that was, it really wasn't the worst part. The real stomach churner was the smell. It had been disemboweled and was lugging around its guts, spilling partially digested food, bile and blood everywhere. With it moving slow, I was able to shoot it in the head. If it would have been fast like the others, I wouldn't have made it out of there. Once I was sure the building was empty, I locked myself inside, thinking maybe the firemen or maybe the paramedics would be back soon. All I had to do was wait, and wait, and wait. 3 days passed. No one was coming and I was losing my mind. There was no signal on the television, and all I could get on the radio was some station that kept playing the same stupid song over and over again. I paced the floors, chewing my nails, thinking about how I was going to kill Dave as soon as I set eyes on him. Meanwhile, the streets outside were a madhouse. I wanted out. Dave was getting away and I had to catch him. He had to pay. For the first time since locking myself in, I went up to the roof to get a look outside. There were bodies everywhere. People I'd known my whole life were laid out in the sun decomposing. Food for the maggots. And all I could think of was tearing Dave's head off and parading it around on a pike. The anger inside me boiled over. I wasn't waiting anymore. Rushing back inside, I grabbed the supplies I gathered from around the station. A fireman's jacket, a backpack stuffed with things I thought I'd need, and a beautiful razor sharp axe that I planned on beheading Dave with. Along with my pistol and the one I'd gotten from the officer, I was ready. Keeping that song from the radio in my head, I jogged along, looking for a vehicle I could use. It didn't take long. Oddly enough, there were lots of cars sitting around. When I finally got one started, my first order of business was to gather up more supplies. Finding Dave wasn't going to be easy. I would need to get a few things before I hit the road. My first stop was my local grocery store. I wanted to make sure I had enough food to last a while. Getting inside was a lot harder than I expected. When I finally did break in, I found out why. A bunch of locals and store employees had barricaded themselves inside and were hoarding the place for themselves. The first person I encountered was a teenager. He was in the stockroom counting cans of vegetables when I surprised him. Shocked by my sudden appearance, he spun around and gasped, "Holy fuck! Where'd you come from?" I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to ask for supplies, but all that came out was, "Where's Dave?" The kid looked confused. He was clearly getting nervous. I don't know any Dave." "Dude, look, just take what you want. I swear I won't say shit." "Please man, don't fucking shoot me." I wasn't planning on shooting him, and to show him that, I put the pistol away, but I found myself grabbing my axe and asking him again, "Where's Dave? I know he's here. Now stop hiding him. Don't you know what he's done? This is all his fault. Why are you keeping him from me?" Now he was really starting to freak out. I wanted to calm him down, I really did. But every time I tried to talk, the words would change. The next thing I know, I'm screaming, "Give him to me!" before sinking the axe into that kid's skull, splitting it down to the base of his neck. I had a little trouble dislodging the blade and someone came charging in. I guess they must have overheard the commotion and came to check it out. It was an older guy. He saw me standing there struggling with the axe. I guess it was a bit of a shock, and he fumbled with his pistol, giving me enough time to pull my own and gun him down. Now I can hear the others screaming, panicking, wondering what's going on. When I finally pulled the axe free, I yelled as loud as I could, "Don't hide him from me! He's the monster here, not me! Now give him to me! Bring me Dave!" One by one, women, men and children, I tore them apart till they were all gone. When I was done, I loaded my car and hit the road. I found people hiding in all sorts of places after that. All of them were helping him. They had to be punished. They had to know he couldn't be allowed to get away with this. I tracked him to a farm where he gathered more people to help him spread the virus. They all had to die, and yet he escaped me again. No matter how close I get, he just keeps slipping through my fingers. In Florida, I collapsed a building to get him, but missed him by minutes. In LA, I tried to burn him out and accidentally started a wildfire. In Louisiana, I blew up a levee to flood him out and shut down the entire city. But still, somehow this rat keeps getting away. Sooner or later, I'll find him. And when I do, I'll show the world that one person can make a difference. If you are listening, Dave, there's no place you can hide, and God help anyone that tries to hide you. Your day is coming. Don't forget, if you enjoyed that story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. I'm sure they really would appreciate it. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to tap the notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. Oh, and don't forget to share the video far and wide. This will all help with YouTube's algorithm and will help to promote this channel more. And don't forget to check out the merch store. The link will be in the description and also in the video thumbnail. And if you would like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase and I'll feature it in one of the videos. I now have my very own subreddit community where you can submit any stories you've written. You can submit your stories or encounters either there or send them to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. All the links are below. I also have a Facebook group, Twitter, Reddit, and you'll also find me on Discord. If you would like to support this channel and help make it grow, my PayPal is paypal.me/cryptidsroost. Again, that will also be below.